And then the answer, of course, is yes. If God deems it useful, God will reveal what science cannot detect. And we get this because we see throughout history all of these quote-unquote missionaries, scientific missionaries, philosophic missionaries, for the mathematics, for physics, for biology, chemistry, all of these great minds that have come here to Earth, they come here for a reason. Perhaps when they incarnate, they lose track of their original purpose and their mission and why they're here, but they're sent as emissaries of those intelligences in the extra-physical plane to help humanity advance, to open up new doors, to make us learn new things, to see new horizons. And that's so important because that's the only way we advance. So it is through the blessed help of these brothers and sisters who incarnate here that bring to us these messages that we're able to grasp a better understanding of things. And then there's a note here that says it is through such communications that humans can, to a certain degree, know about their past and their future destiny. And then we go on to the next section that says spirit and matter. And the question is question 21, and it asks, is matter eternal like God, or was it created at some specific time in the past? Well, even before I read the answer, I think we can already know that there's a little bit of a fallacy or a false statement here in the question. Matter can't be eternal like God because only God is eternal. Whatever came after him. He's the first cause. We get that answer in the first question of this book. And the answer is only God knows. We usually use this expression all the time when somebody asks, oh, only God knows. And that's true. We say it en passant like it's just something, a common expression, but it is within us this notion that, somebody else knows. I don't, but somebody else does know. And who's that somebody else? It's this entity, this cosmic intelligence that we call God, or other intelligences that are also nearer to us, helping us. And let's see here. There's another quote before I continue with the answer. Well, let me just read the answer. And it said, only God knows. Nevertheless, there is something you should realize by using your reason. God, the very personification of love and charity, our Spiritist Center, has never been inactive. No matter how long you might imagine the onset of the divine action to have been, could you possibly conceive of God as ever having been idle even for 1 second? Could you? We who have mundane tasks here on earth are seldom idle. We get up in the morning, we have to brush our teeth, have to take a shower, have to eat breakfast, have to wash the dishes, have to take the dog out, you have to watch the children, have to clothe them, have to take them to school, have to go to work. We don't stop. So if we don't stop and we're so small and we have limited responsibilities, how can a cosmic entity who has the responsibility of the infinite stop? It would never stop. It doesn't make any sense. So much so that Jesus said in John 5:7 or 5:17, my Father is always at his work to this very day, and I too am working. And Jesus is still working for us and with us to our benefit. And then there's another quote from Pasteur that says, and I think this is a wonderful quote because it shows his intelligence, how far he pierced into the unknown with his own intellect. Here we see a true missionary, a contemporary of Allan Kardec, and certainly a spirit that incarnated who was in the same or approximately almost the same level as Kardec was. It actually touches me to read this because I think it's amazing to me. Things that you find out, so that's why I always encourage everyone, read the works, read anything, study, because it's so good. We're so often worried about going out, partying, or fulfilling these empty needs. Well, you're not going to nourish anything. You're still going to have that void. But if you study something like this, you're going to feel wholesome because you begin to understand things. And you realize that, these ephemeral, these temporary things of life aren't really important. Why am I worried about having to cut my hair 2 days from today because I need to go to this? It's things that, really are not important. But anyway, I went off on a tangent. And Pasteur says, But what allows you to make it the origin of life? And he's talking about matter. You place matter before life, and he's talking to the scientific community of the time in the 19th century. You place matter before life, and you decide that matter has existed for all eternity. Here's that pride that man has. Oh, I know, so I'm placing that before eternity. I know because I see matter, so if I see it, I know it exists. If I don't see it, it doesn't exist. How little is that thought? There's no logic to that. Because in reality, matter is invisible. We only see matter because light shines against it. If I turn the lights off here, we're not going to see a thing. So we're invisible. Matter doesn't touch, because if matter touched, atoms would fuse and we have a nuclear explosion. So hugs, kisses, all of that, ridiculous explosions everywhere. But alas, Pasteur says, you place matter before life, and you decide that matter has existed for all eternity. How do you know what the incessant progress of science will not compel scientists to consider that life has existed during eternity and not matter? It's almost as if he took a page out of this section. You pass from matter to life because your intelligence of today cannot conceive things otherwise. How do you know that in 10,000 years, one will not consider it more likely that matter has emerged from life? You move from matter to life because your current intelligence, and here's Pasteur putting the scientific community of the time in their place, because your current intelligence, so limited compared to what will be the future intelligence of the naturalist, tells you that things cannot be understood otherwise. This is an all-encompassing statement of what I've just gone over here, I think. I don't think, I know this at least. Okay, and then question 22, we find a follow-up that says, matter is generally defined as that which has extension, that which can impress upon our senses, or impress our senses, that which is impenetrable. Are these definitions correct? And the answer is, from your own point of view, from what we can gather and see, they are correct because you can only talk about the matters that are familiar to you. Here's them again putting us in our place. A child can't talk about mathematical equations unless he's a prodigy, but he can't describe it. Why? Because it's not his place. He's yet to develop all those faculties. So if we are the equivalent of spiritual children, how are you to explain these things that we just don't know? It's outside of our realm of knowledge. Matter, however, also exists in states that are unfamiliar. For example, it may be so ethereal and subtle that your senses cannot detect it. It is matter nonetheless, even though you do not perceive it as such. So again, here they are telling us that there is something out there that we don't see. And we don't see anything. Our vision is very limited. There's so many rays of light in the spectrum of the ultraviolet rays that we don't see. We have things that are microns thick, and micron is a hundredth of the width of a strand of hair. Do you think we'll be able to see these things? And just because we don't see them, they don't exist? Scientists used to think that there was no such thing as viruses that went into our organs and caused all of the illnesses that we have today. They thought that we'd acquire these illnesses from the air because things were just floating in the air, these miasmas. Now we know, because of the microscope, that there actually exists a whole entire universe within us. But before then, it'd be ludicrous and blasphemy for you to say that there was such a thing. So we have examples throughout history, throughout science, that teaches us that why are we stopping here in terms of understanding that there are other things out there, that there is this divine entity known as God, that there are spirits, that we are spirits, because there's so much more. And we get caught up in these little things. But alas. And then question 22b says, or asks, then how may we define matter? And the answer is, matter is the tie that enchains the spirit. It is the instrument that spirit uses and upon which it simultaneously exerts its action. So we have the spirit. It incarnates in the body, the matter. And then it puts the matter or the body, which is the vehicle, to work. So we're piloting this body, but we're not the body. We drive our cars, but we're not the car. And then there's a note here from Allan Kardec that says, from this viewpoint, one could say that matter is the agent or intermediary that enables spirit to act while at the same time being acted upon by spirit. And then, let me see here. I don't want to get lost. Question 22. Okay. And then question 23 asks, what is spirit? What is spirit? And the answer is the intelligent principle of the universe. And then the follow-up says, it is not easy to explain spirit in your language. For you, it is nothing, because it is not something palpable. You can't touch it, so we think it doesn't exist, as I've mentioned before. Nevertheless, for us, it is something. Why is it something for them? Because they're in another realm of existence, another dimension. So other things are visible and palpable to them that aren't for us. That's a simple, logical thing to understand. You must realize that nothing means nothing, and nothing does not exist. So nothing should be a word that should be deleted from our vocabulary, because there is nothing. There isn't nothing. So much that, when we ask somebody in our day-to-day lives, oh, what's going on? Are you all right? That's nothing. It's something. It's definitely something. If we see that example in our day-to-day lives, then obviously nothing should not even be a word in the vocabulary. Because, of course, nothing comes from nothing. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And then it says, question 24 asks, is spirit synonymous with intelligence? And the answer is, intelligence is one of the essential attributes of spirit, but both merge into a common principle. Thus, for you, they are one and the same thing. So we get a connection to question 23 that question 23 that says it is the intelligent principle of the universe. So because we can't define the differences, to us it is better left at just saying that it is the intelligent principle.